Well, good morning, everybody. Welcome to the Underhood Show presented by Mel Hambelton Ford. My name's Phil Nightingale and Josh Profit. Morning, Josh.
Good morning.
Sunny and 70 out there today, isn't it? Something like that.
Sunny and 70 plus. Let's call it that.
She is a little tight out there, as you can call it. So, hey, anyway, it's a call-in show. 316-462-3673. Anything ailing your car, tires, brakes, batteries, anything ailing your car. Love to hear from you. Love to answer your questions. Love to help you understand your car better. Most importantly, though, you get a great package valued over $130. And as always, Josh, what's in that package?
So we're going to mail it out to you, but it's going to consist of the works, which is an oil change and tire rotation. We use Motorcraft oil and filter products here at Mel Hambelton Ford. While we're performing that, we're going to complete a multi-point inspection on that vehicle, checking over the brakes, tires, steering, suspension, all the safety-related components on the vehicle, making sure that it's ready to go for that next 5,000 miles of driving. You'll also receive yourself $10 to Mel's Diner, so you can get yourself something to eat and drink while you're here with us at the big corner. Complete nitrogen for your tires, so you get all the great benefits that nitrogen has to offer. And then a BG products package, which consists of a can of MOA or motor oil additive for your engine oil, and then CF5 for your fuel system. Again, just getting that vehicle geared up and ready to go for that next 5,000 miles of driving.
All right, let's get the phones ringing. 316-462-3673. That's the number it dials right into the front desk. Tell the girls there answering the phone you want to get past in the podcast. We'll get you on the air here and see what's up on your mind about going on in the automobile world. Josh, we got a lot of things to talk about with everything going on at the store where we were at earlier this week.
Yeah.
So let's get things fired off. And as always, good morning, Jeff. Good morning, Delbert. And everybody, thanks for watching and tuning in. But Josh, let's first start with where we went Sunday.
Yeah, so Sunday we went to the Ford grassroots meeting. So it's basically they do this once a year, and it's to talk about, kind of business plans for the following year, and then what's new to come, and get to see new products if they so choose to let you see that. So we were able to get to view some of that. So very exciting on what's to come out there for sure.
Yeah, we do got some. I will say it's probably the most new products that I've seen in a show. I wish we could have got up more close and went around them a little bit more and everything else too from that part. But 24 F-150, kind of a refresh truck coming. What do you think of the tailgate? We got a split tailgate coming.
Yeah, seeing it there at the show and then seeing it in person and being able to, touch it, feel it, operate it, stuff like that, maybe make a little bit of a different deal. I'm on the tailgate side. For me, I'm not really, I'm not really, I don't know is that we need that, but also like adapt. I mean, I think of so many things that came out that's like, I'm not sure we really need that. And then in 6 months, it's like, man, where are you at if you don't have that? You know?
So the truck looked good. We got so many people were there. We missed our time to go take the Blue Cruise Drive, which is the 1.2 version. Would have loved to have done that to see how much better it is. And lane turning, when you turn lanes now, it stays engaged with you and stuff. And so we missed that sort of thing, but still, okay. So we've seen the 24 F-150, the refresh. We got a caller coming in too, right, Josh? We'll get him on the air here shortly. Are you ready?
Yep. We can go to the line. Let's talk to Colin. Colin, you're live with Under the Hood.
Hey guys, love your show. Been listening to it for years, and I've been a customer of Mel Hambelton for a long time. I have a 2007 Toyota Corolla that I get oil changed every 5,000. Everything's hanging in there at 135,000 miles. But just the other day, not only did a check engine light came on, but something I've never seen before. It said maintenance requested or required, maybe. But it is, a little tiny light that came on. I've never seen that before. Maintenance required.
Yeah, so depending upon what the codes are in the system, there may be like an emissions related issue along with that check engine light. There's a lot of times where a sensor breaks in a system, and that sensor shares data to two different subsystems. So, for example, like a speed sensor. The transmission needs that speed sensor to determine output gearing or gear ratio. And so that could give you a check engine light, but also that speed sensor shares information with the ABS. And so it may give you an ABS light as well. And so you get a couple of different lights going on. And so I'm guessing whatever's broke or whatever is at fault, I'm guessing it shares information amongst a couple of different subsystems of that vehicle would be my guess. And so, Colin, the car, does it seem to run any different or drive any different or anything like that?
Not really. I just recently had some transmission work done, and the day after the transmission went out, which I got fixed, the day after I got it fixed, I mean, the starter went out. So it's brand new as well. So it's running just fine.
Gotcha. Okay.
Well,
Well,
it rains, it pours, you know?
yeah. So really what needs to happen is there needs to be a diagnostic performed on that on those lights and just see exactly what's going on or what's causing it. But there could be a long list of things that are making it do that. But until until we're able to do a diagnostic on it, you really wouldn't know exactly what's going on with it. And so for calling into the show today, we'll add that onto your package at no charge to you and take a look at that light and see exactly what's going on with it for you.
Appreciate it, sir. After spending almost $1,000 on the car, I appreciate it.
Yeah, I just hope it's not something related to one of those two repairs, too.
Yeah,
It could be.
yeah.
I mean,
Yeah, me too. Yeah, but I appreciate your help, gentlemen. Thanks.
Thank you, Colin.
Yep, we'll get that added onto your package and sent out to you, okay?
All right. Thanks again. Stay out of the heat.
Yeah, exactly.
You too. Thanks for the call.
Bye.
Bye. All right, 316-462-3673. Let's keep the phones ringing. Love to hear from you and give you that great prize package valued over $130 for each and every caller. So let's rock and roll. So anyway, 24 F-150 refresh, looked good. Split tailgate. Who knows what's going to happen until we see it in person? Too, it might be a different ballgame.
So, and I'm wondering too, is that going to be an option or is that going to be the standard gate? Or I would assume just like the tailgate step, you're into options to get to that level would be my guess. But I don't. Who knows? But what I will say was definitely unique about it is it also, it was a drop tailgate, or you could open it as a, basically like a hatch door or side door. So it'll be unique to see that in operation for sure.
Yeah, exactly. So then we got to see the next thing up was the Ranger Raptor.
Yeah.
I think that's really a cool truck. Problem I think with it, Josh, I don't think you're going to build enough of them for the demand. I got everybody in the world calling me wanting to order one of those, and so far we've gotten one.
I was curious if you had kind of allocation or if
they won't tell me
that was going to be, or
they will not tell me how many we're going to get. I begged and pleaded and everything else, so I don't want to take a whole bunch of orders and then I can't get the trucks for the people and get the expectations the wrong way or whatever either. But so anyway, moving down the line, going down the list there on the stage. The next one was the
Maverick,
the lowered Maverick.
Yeah, they like an ST line is what I would call it, but I don't know that they necessarily had an official name for it yet. But it was, it looked like a street truck to me.
Yeah, it looked pretty cool lowered. I didn't like the wheel that was on it, but that's kind of a debatable battle too with what that tuner area is or whatever from that part. But that was pretty cool to see that. And then they brought out a Lobo, which I didn't know what Lobo meant in Spanish, which is wolf.
I didn't know that either. I kept thinking he said logo. I was like, why the hell would they name it a logo truck? But
yeah. And that truck looked really different. I mean, it's a crew cab, lowered down, built off the XLT package, right?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And 5.0 motor, dual exhaust, and a real funky looking grill. I mean,
it had the light bar
inside of there
in the grill for sure. And I don't know. I mean, I think that will be a popular truck.
I do too. It fits right in that niche where, and they showed the pricing of the truck right in the mid 50s, and that's just an area gap that we have from the XL and STX to the XLT. So I think it'll fit right in there. The truck looked pretty cool, I thought.
Yeah,
I did really like the truck from that part. And so anyway, going on down the line, the next one was the I got to clear over on the left side.
So
of the
the
stage.
Bronco Sport was the next one.
Bronco Sport.
And then they were talking about how that was going to be available in the Sasquatch package.
Going to put a Sasquatch package on
which
it,
I thought, aesthetics. We didn't get to see that. We got to see pictures of it. The pictures looked very, very appealing for sure. I think that the Bronco Sport, in my opinion, I think it's very similar to the Escape.
Built on the same kind of,
and it's it really gave it more of a rugged look, more of a durable look instead of just like a city vehicle, basically.
Yeah.
When you add those other packages.
There were some rumors about a hybrid Bronco Sport, but they didn't talk about that at all. So I don't know. I don't. I think people love to see that hybrid in the Bronco Sport, but the problem I think it is they can't build enough of the Mavericks in the hybrid version. So I don't know how they'd ever come up and put a hybrid into the Bronco Sport, but I do think it's cool. I think it's something they should build. I really do. I think it would be a neat feature and everything else like that. But I was really shocked that they didn't, after the press I've seen out there on it. I figured there would be some knowledge about it, but there wasn't.
Again, it's a matter of, being able to the want or the desire to want to produce something, and then just the ability to be able to produce it may not be there. You can't promise something you can't produce, I guess, or don't want to do that anymore.
Yeah. So then they showed us the Expedition, which is a refresh on the Expedition, and again, couldn't see very much of what they did there or whatever.
I thought,
but I'm thinking that's a 25 model. I don't think that's 24.
It'd be hard pressed at this point, I think.
Me too,
for sure.
So I don't think that's what they're showing. They teased us too far now. They didn't tell us what year or anything about that, but
and I would say too, out of all of them that we've seen on the stage, I thought that Expedition was probably the most change. I don't know. Would you venture to guess
agree with that
too?
Yeah, agree with that too. There was one more down there. What am I leaving?
I think was there?
Oh, the Bronco.
Yeah, the
full size Bronco. They're coming up with a luxury Bronco to compete with the high end Jeeps and the high end Land Rovers and stuff. But
yeah,
that'll be interesting to see what that thing costs and where it's at, because we're in the $90,000 with the Raptor Bronco. So it'll be interesting to see where that falls into play and where they're at, and then what kind of production model they'll be. And they're talking about all these high end materials and everything inside the Bronco and stuff, which I can see that, but I don't. We'll see. It's going to be see what, like they say, there's a butt for every seat, right?
Well, and so to me, I will say that I think Ford, steps out of the box a little bit on all their different submodels. And just to be different or unique, they do have a lot of different designs. But from a production standpoint, I think the easier path would be to simplify it, give you less options, and produce it.
They keep talking about they're going to do that, Josh. And the only place I've seen that happen so far is they've streamlined some of the options on the Super Duty and a little bit on the F-150, but not near enough, I don't think, from that part. They are doing what they call a rapid replenishment trucks. And basically, I just got to go in. I don't get to pick anything. They're just going to say, here's what we think you need based off the sales in your area, what you sold, and here's the trucks. Do you want them or you don't? I just got to click a button and accept. Of course, I'm taking everything I can take.
Yeah, sure.
So they're doing that on the Escape. They're doing it on the Bronco Sport and the Edge and Explorer. And so the F-150 is the next one they're going to do that with. And I'm excited for that, because I think that is the way to build the trucks and not have to have so many options. And here's your truck. If you want something different what these stock units are, then order the truck.
So when you get those trucks, I mean, are they all going to be very similarly equipped, just different kind of color options? Or
what I've seen so far, what they'll do is, for example, let's take Bronco Sport, because I've kind of played with that a little bit, because you've got the I got to get all these models in my head from that, but they'll give you each trim level and tell you how many you got or whatever. Now, there's a couple times they'll let me take, like on Explorer, on XLT and Limited, they'll say, okay, you can have 3 of each, but you can do 2 and 4, or 1 and 6, or 1 and 5, or whatever, and pick your options there. But not very often does that happen. But
yeah,
and then you can not color, you don't get a pick, and any other options you don't pick. You just pick your trim level and how many of those want at that trim level, and then they build them. And they're trying to do that based off of what they see selling, what we've sold, and what's selling around in our area, to know how to build those vehicles that way. And I think it'll help, lean the production line up enough to help with some of these options and things. They say out there that I lost my deal, Josh.
Your audio.
There you go. Anyway, they say that basically all the options on a car, that a customer really only uses 20% of them.
Really?
Whether that's a true one or not, I don't know if that's true or not either from that part. So we'll see how that. I'd love to see the F-150 get in there on that rapid replenishment, because that's the one we order the most and spend the most time on, and everything else, trying to dial that in right correctly and everything else too. So anyway, what else did we?
So the other thing we've seen, I got a caller coming in. We'll get to them. In fact, let's go to the phones and let's talk to Marissa. Marissa, you're on live with Under the Hood.
Hello, this is Marissa.
Yeah, you're on live with Under the Hood.
Okay. So I heard you guys were talking about, new cars and the different types of trim levels. And I guess what I'm kind of wondering is I have a 2007 Ford Focus and it runs great. It's at about 220,000 miles, but I kind of worry because I keep up with its maintenance, but I wonder when is the time to get a new one, and how long do you think that you should just keep putting in the small fixes versus upgrading to a newer car?
Marissa, I think that's a great question. I was having this conversation with an individual yesterday, in regards to this same thing. But at some point, in my opinion, and I don't know, Phil, you can kind of chime in on this, but you really have to think about the resale value of that vehicle, and then the resale value is driven by what's that car worth to the next consumer. And, although the vehicle that you may have may be in excellent condition and nothing really mechanically wrong with it, but the next consumer looking at that vehicle at 230,000 miles is going to be extremely hesitant at it, and so I think, we can talk about trade cycles quite a bit, but just at some point you drive all the value out of your vehicle.
Yep. Okay, I'm going to give you my 2 cents on it real quick. Marissa, my opinion, just because I see everything in this business and everything else like that. Do I want to sell cars? Yeah, but I want to sell you the right car at the right time and help fit your budget and everything else too. The way these cars are today and expensive they are, and the way they can't, I tell everybody when I sell you a car, I promise you one thing, it's going to break at some point. So you want to have some coverage there to cover yourself for a big repair, kind of like Colin was calling in earlier. He spent $1,000 this week on his car and stuff like that too. So I like to myself, I want to keep that car under warranty or have some extended coverage to cover myself from that part. My personal opinion, the best time to trade that car, if you buy a new car, is trade it before it gets out of the 336. So it's got a lot of value still left. And like Josh said, to the next consumer, what's that car worth and everything else too from that part. If you go past the 336, my next comment to everybody is don't let it get over 80,000 miles without some coverage. When it hits over 80, the next consumer, again, looking at that value of that car. But the next thing is the banks. What will they loan on that vehicle? What will the interest rate be on that vehicle to make that thing worth the value that it's worth? And the next thing I'll tell you is this happened to me a long time ago. I was up in Topeka, and I was a service manager up there, and a lady pulled in with a car, and it was just, I thought it was time for her to replace it. And that's what I told her. And she got so mad at me because that was the last car that her husband had bought before he died, and she wasn't going to get rid of that car. She just wanted to keep fixing it, and spending money on it. So that's where the difference comes into play. And I learned that a long time ago, not to try to judge that situation. But if you ask me, I'm going to tell you. But I thought I was trying to help that lady not to stop spending so much money on this car and get a different car. And I thought she'd be better ahead, but she was not going to sell it because it was the last car. And I get that.
There was a lot of sentimental value attached to it, and it didn't matter.
Didn't matter. She wasn't going to spend the money, so I kept fixing the car for her and kept it running. And I took care of her for many, many years after that from that part. So everybody's a little different on that part, but still back to dollar for dollar. If you buy a new car, trade it before the 336. If you're going to drive it longer than that or whatever, make sure you have some extended coverage and make sure it's a good coverage. Don't listen to these people on TV trying to sell you a warning or something that comes in the mail. Buy it from a dealer that has a reputable program behind it like we have, and a lot of dealers do have. But there's some not so good warnings out there to help you cover yourself from that part. But that's my opinion.
Okay, that's good information to know, because and maybe, I don't know, $500 into it maybe every 3 months, new tires, getting the oil changed. My door handle broke off of one of them, just keep making sure it stays nice. But right now I think it's obtainable, but I drive 40 minutes into work, so I wonder when am I going to need something more newer, I guess.
Yeah, so what are you driving now again?
A 2007 Ford Focus.
Yep, I got it. So you're driving 40 miles each way. How many miles is on the Focus?
Like 220,000.
Okay, Marissa, I hate to tell you, you're on borrowed time with that car. Just not trying to be mean, not trying to be from that part, but if you got that many miles on it, it's about anything can break at that point in time, because those cars were designed to be about 150,000 mile cars. So you've done a great job with it, making it get 200 out of it. Okay, from that part.
Yeah.
So you're, like I said, you're on borrowed time with that thing, but it's done you well. It sounds like, to get 200,000 miles on it too. So
well, and then the other thing too, to that point is there's not going to be a whole lot of residual value in that vehicle. And
No.
so really driving it until something breaks, like you're really not losing anything at that point.
Right.
The only downside to that is driving it until something breaks is there's going to be a point in which something broke on it and it's going to leave you wherever that broke.
Stranded.
You know, and so as long as you're, I guess, somewhat kind of prepared for that. And then the other thing too is that, okay, now the car's broke, something's broke financially. Like am I in a place to now do something different? As long as you're kind of preparing for that, you know, there's probably nothing wrong with that.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. So, well, anyway, Marissa, I hope we've helped you. If you got some more questions or would love to sit down in person and go through some stuff to try to help you too, love to do that too, to help figure out exactly your situation, some budget things you might have or whatever, and from that part. And we might find out, you know what, like Josh said, drive it till it does break. But, from that part.
Yeah, and it has like custom seats, all ST like stuff going throughout it, racing pedals. So you know.
Yeah, I get it.
So those Ford Focus groups. So.
And the next thing is, Marissa, here's the next thing is that package we just mailed out to you. We're going to give you a multi-point inspection. We'll go through that car and give it a health check. Let's kind of check it over and just kind of see what we think, how many more miles you can get out of it.
Okay, thanks.
All right. Great question, Marissa. Thanks for the comments and stuff, and appreciate the call very much.
Bye.
Bye.
So I want to kind of expand on that just a little bit more. You know, when you talk about when's time to trade or timing on trading, you had brought up something, you know, that I don't think a lot of consumers really even think about, and that is the lending side of it. Is that if you're having to lend on something, like what do you see as far as from lenders? When do they become uncomfortable on lending on something? You know, is it time? Is it age of vehicle? Is it miles? And then also, I don't think consumers understand or realize is that, you know, if financing on a new vehicle, you get different interest rates than, you know, one that's a couple years old versus one that's 5 or 6 years old. You know, there's tiers to that, and at some point they just say no.
Yeah. You know, and it's the risk the lender has to take. So let's take that car that's got, say, 100,000 miles on it. You want to put it, like the standard deal is a 72-month note, because that car going to last that long for you. So that's where the risk is to that lender is, okay, what's your credit score? Where are you at? What's your payment history? Are you going to make the payments? Or if the car breaks down and stops, you stop paying.
Yeah.
And then the bank's hung from that part. But it is every time the car gets older, the higher interest rate goes, because the risk is there for that lender to make sure you make all those payments or from that part. So that's where I brought in the 336. That's where I brought in the 80,000 miles, because that second owner, the next owner, it's not issue. I can tell everybody, you don't need to think about what's good for you. You need to think what's good for that second owner. So when you're ready to trade it, you have the right proper value of your car, and keep the car's a depreciated asset. I get it, but trade it when it's worth the most money.
And I also think too, like even if somebody was looking at ordering a brand new vehicle, you know, that should come into play when you're ordering it too. You may not want that option.
The next buyer does.
But the next buyer does. And I get into that with like 4-wheel drive and sunroofs all the time. You know, 4-wheel drives, that's pretty common for a vehicle to have 4-wheel drive anymore. And
you know, and when I sit down with customers to order cars and stuff like that, I will put them and tell them, you need to do this or you don't need it. Sometimes they'll say, yeah, I get it. Sometimes they don't. But I got to offer it to you. I got to give you my opinion for what I see when I do this every day and been doing it forever. And you are right. Just take like a high-end platinum truck and a guy say, you know, I don't use a sunroof. I don't want it. I get it. But the next guy that's going to trade it and that truck's going to be worth so much less value. You'll get your money back out of that sunroof again. And it's going to be more valuable to the second owner than it is to you. I get it. You don't use it. I don't hardly use them either from that part. But I just know what the resale value is when that truck's sitting there.
When it has it.
When it does have it.
Yeah. What
that part.
You know, I can think of a couple vehicles that we've had out of here on a lot that have sat around for, you know, a substantial amount of time just because of the way they were equipped. You know, if it was equipped just a little bit different, like it would be a fast moving item. You know, I can think of a Tahoe that we had.
I was thinking the same Tahoe. that didn't have a third row seat in it.
Third row seat.
Sat here forever, because who wants a Tahoe without a third row seat? Well, we finally found somebody. Like I said, there's an ask for every seat, but
it just takes you out of that. It puts you in more of a niche market for sure.
It does.
And then, you know, so going back to the going back to the time and mileage side on the lending side, I mean, is there like a mileage that you really just see lenders just say no, regardless of credit?
When we trade for a car, we look at that and value that into the value of that car. But 150, we're chucking the cars. We're wholesaling. We're getting rid of, because we don't have a lender that will loan any kind of money whatsoever. If they do, the interest is going to be so high that we can go back to a 100,000-mile car and give you about the same payment to help you with that situation. So when we get to those cars, that's why, Josh, when we walk those cars every day, we evaluate where we're at, what we're going to do, that sort of thing. But there is just hardly any lenders. And think about it, if you're a lender, would you want to loan somebody some money on a $150,000 car?
Especially, the expense of it, you're talking 6 years.
Yeah.
I mean, and if the average consumer is driving, I think now it's what, 15,000 a year, pretty much. That's a chunk of miles on that vehicle for sure.
So anyway, let's go through the chat line here, and Jeff's got a great question. I want to debate that here in a minute. Jim Petty, good morning. JR, good morning. And let's go through 23 Expedition 3.5. Is the performance economy better with 93 octane versus 87 octane? Worth the difference in the price for the fuel? Okay. Here's been on my analogy all along with that, Jeff. And I would love you to do a test and see what it does. But always what that car needs, octane, is all you need to put in it. So if it says it only needs 87, that's all you need to put in it. Don't put the 93 in it or 91 or whatever, because that engine can't burn all that fuel in there, and you're just producing extra carbon on top of the pistons, the valves, and everything else. But in these turbo cars, I do believe that there is a better performance with the higher octane fuel. I've tested it myself, but the thing I haven't done is put the pencil to it and see a full tank, run it down pretty low, which I hate doing that too, because that's hard on the fuel pumps, running them low. But to give a good test, you have to have a full tank of 93 and a full tank of 87 and run it and see what your mileage does and everything from that part. I'm going to almost bet, before I even say anything, that for the extra difference in the higher octane fuel, it's probably going to be a wash, but you're going to have some better performance. And I do believe there's I can tell the difference in the performance when I put the premium in versus the not. I've just never done a test of.
Well, I think the same seems to be true about going from like an E85 vehicle that's equipped for E85 to regular unleaded. Like what you spend less in, you lose in fuel economy.
So it's probably a wash again.
And I think that's to be said both ways.
And my thing with that part of it is, I love ethanol to support our farmers, is what I want. But the car's got to be designed and set up to run it to get your best benefits out of that. Sure. Can some cars run on it and be okay and everything? Sure, they can. Not every car is that way, though. But if the car is designed to have that E85, run it. Because I'm telling you, it's good for everything in that part of the situation.
And here's where I'm at with the 87 versus 91 octane is that, when you go to a fuel station, if I ran 91 octane, I think I'd have to be very specific in where I bought my fuel, because I think a lot of times that fuel sits in the tanks.
It's old.
At the fuel station 100%. So much more, just because 87 is so much more higher volume, higher moving, and so it's fresher fuel. Mm-hmm. And so that would be one thing that if I ran 91, I think I'd have to be very selective in where I got that fuel from.
And I agree with you that too, Josh. And that's kind of where I was years ago on premium, because I really did think that premium fuel would set and got old. But I think today, more cars are running these turbos and things like that. And I think more people are buying more premium. I kind of watch now when I'm over at the QT filling up and stuff, and there is more people buying that. But there's still a group of us out there that want to find the cheapest fuel we can. Like we had to hear a couple shows ago where they were finding the ethanol fuels, what that ended up being at a cheaper rate. And I get that. But again, the trade-off, I don't know. But Jeff, it'd be interesting to see if you could go get a tank of 87, make sure that's what's in it, run that tank through and see what kind of performance you got and see what kind of fuel mileage you got, and then run that down and put a tank kind of 93 in it and run that through and kind of see where it's at. But I do know the performance is going to be better. I promise you that it's going to be better on a turbo car now. But if that was a car that was designed only for 87, I don't think you see a bit of performance improvement.
There's so many variables that go into fuel economy. You think about, just for one, the age of fuel, like we just talked about. Then two, like what's the quality of that fuel? Yeah, it's 87 octane, but was it cut with 8% ethanol, 5% ethanol, not to mention the other characteristics that make up the fuel. So just the quality in general. But then you talk about so many aspects of environmental aspects. What was the wind like that when you were driving through that tank, or road conditions, or temperature, and then okay, condition of vehicle, tire pressures, how are the tire, what conditions the air filter in, where are we at on spark plugs. There's so many variables that go into a fuel consumption issue. It's very, very hard to make that an exact science.
It is. It's very true. And Brian asked there, should we be running premium in the EcoBoost? Look at that. All these EcoBoosts are different, Brian, too. And look at the fuel lid where you put your fuel in and see what it says.
Yeah, 87 octane is the large majority of what EcoBoosts need to run.
But will it help putting the premium in it? I truly believe, I know that for a fact, that you get better performance with the premium in the EcoBoost motors. But if it says 87 on your fuel cap and it's an EcoBoost, I would only put 87 octane fuel in that car, because that engine was designed for that kind of octane. And just to kind of explain what's happening with octane, when you put the higher octane fuel in there, when the spark hits the cylinder, the 87 octane burns for split seconds. The 93 octane will burn for just a few more milliseconds. So it's burning longer because it has to have that extra compression that's inside that cylinder. But if you hit that thing and it needs 87 and you just put 93 in it and spark hits there's going to be so much unburned fuel, and that's where you're building up that excess carbon and stuff inside that cylinder. So if that EcoBoost doesn't have anything on there, put the 93 in it, see what it does, how it performs for you, and see what kind of fuel economy you get better than what you were doing before. But if it says 87, only put 87 in it. Don't put anything else inside that car whatsoever. But again, you talk about quality of fuel and stuff, Josh. Here's just the other day, I had a good customer of ours. His daughter's going to school, and she's cruising down the road. She just left, and guess what? Check engine light come on. So I try to find her a place. She's in Oklahoma. Find a shop. They look at it, say, "Oh, it's running lean. It needs an oxygen sensor code." And they put an oxygen sensor in it. She, okay, good. It's easy fix. No big deal. Truck's down the road again. Guess what?
Comes back on again.
So now she's, I don't remember where Arkansas somewhere. So we find another shop. They get in there. Hey, it's the same code. Well, they just put an oxygen sensor in it. Well, it's probably the wiring. Well, that was a guess. They didn't want to help her. That's all that amounts to. So I limped her along. And after I sat her going to all these different towns, guess what we figured out all along what was wrong?
Had fuel in it.
Picked up a bad tank of fuel before she left. They were at Live in Newton. She picked up a bad tank of fuel in Newton. And it took that much to get enough fuel through that. So the time I got her, she was going down to Florida. And the time I got her in the state of Florida, guess what happened?
It was fine.
Running fine. Light was off. Everything was gone. So then I went and I called our BG guys. I said, hey, I need some 44K. Where can she pick up some 44K? Because naturally we need to get that clean the fuel systems the best we can. And found her a shop. They went in, put a can of 44K in it. Talked to her the other day. Still running fine. So it can happen anywhere. Yeah. Anybody can get bad fuel or whatever, and it'll throw you for a loop. Just like that one. They say it was running lean. Yeah, because you got bad fuel. Can pick up the right emissions coming down the tailpipe. So instead it was an oxygen sensor. But so it's all kind of things that drive you crazy and everything else too. So and yeah, Jeff. So what you're saying is we need some Mel Hambelton racing fuel for it. Yeah. Yeah. Well, we'll go to that too. I mean, I still remember when I finally took my GT500 to the strip and we put some Renegade fuel in the car.
Yeah.
And that car loves that high octane fuel.
Well, and so here's the thing that I have with that too, is that when you change something in a vehicle that you can feel it in seat of the pants, like it takes a lot of change in horsepower or torque to be able to feel it in seat of pants.
Yes, it is.
On a vehicle by the time it goes through the powertrain and actually hits the ground and stuff like that. I mean, you're talking at least 30, 35 horsepower.
Exactly. And an average consumer can't feel that 30 to 40 horsepower. You will not feel that. You just can't. Especially like in Jeff's situation in a big expedition like that part two. But I still think, Jeff, you're going to see a improved performance, and I do think you're going to see a better fuel economy with the 93 octane fuel.
I think of back in the day adding like tunes and K&N air filters and stuff like that to vehicles, and I think you got the illusion that it added so much more horsepower just because it sounded different, or like exhaust or something like that. But to actually notice a difference in seat of the pants, it takes a substantial amount of change to be able to do that.
Okay, now Jeff, here at the dealership we have this bus, and Jeff, I always tell everybody, most school buses are 60 passenger buses. But for some reason, the one we got around here has got about 120 passenger bus because someone's got the keys to that thing, and someone likes to drive the bus over somebody somewhere all the time.
There's very few people in the bus. There's really more people under the bus.
Yeah. So, Jeff, I tried to hide the keys, but someone got the keys from me, and they're trying to tell me that really your real problem with your fuel economy is your right foot. It's just a little too heavy. So I don't know who's trying to drag you in the grease here or whatever, but someone's trying to drag you in the ground there, Jeff. So just saying, if you need the keys sometime to drive the bus over something, just let me know. I can get it for you pretty quick, unless Josh has stole the keys. But I think at one time we got the thing just hot wired. It just never shuts off.
Keys in it. It just
never shuts off
all the time.
So anyway,
so that's one thing that when you talk about fuel economy, is that for me, I mean, I'm not going to sit and argue with the vehicle on it should have got better fuel economy. I'm going to put my foot down and I'm going to fill it up when it needs fuel.
And that's true. That's kind of where I'm at too. That's why I tell you, I can tell the performances in these vehicles, but I don't really pay attention to fuel economy either. Now, I will tell you, I do like it when I get into a hybrid or something like that to try to see what it does do.
It's amazing for me. It's almost like a video game. You hop in something, fully electric or a hybrid, and it's like it's a mindset thing. It really is. At that point, it's like, okay, how far can I take this? How much fuel economy can I get out of it? But then you get in a gas vehicle, and I'm going from point A to point B, and if we need fuel, we're going to stop and get it.
It's like Jake. He drives that modified and goes like hell in that thing. We get in his truck. He's got the thing in eco mode. And I tell him, come on, let's go. We got things to do. He's trying to get the best fuel economy. I got things to do. I don't care what kind of fuel economy. Get that thing in the sport mode and let's go.
I'll give you a couple bucks for gas.
Gas is all green for the eco, and he's putting around. I said, come on.
There was the Fusion. I think it had a
leaf
tree.
The tree would grow better for you.
The tree would grow on the dash. The better fuel economy that you got for the thing. And
I got to go. I got things to do, people to see. I don't need to be hanging around trying to figure what kind of fuel economy I get. Now, I will tell you, there was one night I did take a hybrid truck and drive it home, and I got 30 miles to the gallon with that truck. Now, granted, I was in eco, and yes, I coasted. I did everything. I drove as soft as I could, accelerated as slow as I could, and I got 30 miles a gallon in town. Now, I will tell you right now, with one and not paying any attention to it, what I do like about the F-150, it's got this trip. So every time the key starts and shuts off, it gives you that trip at the end of that drive. And I leave that up there all the time. And if I drive a normal EcoBoost, it's 15, 16. With his hybrid, I mean, I'm getting 21, 22.
Yeah.
So I love that. So that's why I guess but again, and that's not trying to get fuel economy. That's just me going and driving and making it happen. So those hybrids are very cool. Me and Lisa were headed over to Hutch. We've got to talk about that too. Last night was our 12th year to give a car away to Hutch Hospice. And it was so great for the person that really won the car, really, really needed a car. So that was very cool. She had a proxy there. She couldn't be there last night. But we had a great event over at the Hutch Hospice, and I know they raised a lot of money for that. And I hate to say as much as we all going to need that service at some point in time from that part. But had a great event over at Hutch yesterday and gave away a Ford Escape to a very lucky person, and they sent me a picture of her last night when she finally got to the car and stuff. Very excited and everything else too. So
we do the start out or hand out 10 keys to that thing, and you never ever want it to be the last key, but
dang it was the first key last night too.
And I don't know, the first key, like it really, the intense or the build up is kind of lost a little when it's on the first key, but you sure don't want it to be the last one.
No. I was standing there and I seen that key turn. I went, oh no! but still, it's very excited for that, and very excited for the lady that's getting the car. Her boss came up to me and said, man, this couldn't happen to a better person and stuff. So that's the best part about giving cars away is getting that center. So anyway, Lisa and I were on our way over there yesterday driving, and we got into a debate about these electric cars, in the debate of hybrids and in the ICE cars and everything else like that too. And I was on a phone call after we got back from Ford this week, and on my FDF board, and we were talking about these Mach-E's and then Lightning, because we're finally going to have some good stock
Be
in
able to
about
get
60
some
days.
fleet.
Yes. I got Mach-E's on the ground now. We've never had that forever. I got some Lightnings on the ground, but I mean, we've got them coming to the tune of about 30 Lightnings and about 20 Mach-E's that are coming. Will be here in 30 to 60, 90 days. And we got into debate, and we kind of had the debate on the FDF call too about these electric cars, because is our part of the country ready for electric? Don't think so. Is there still a niche there for those electric cars? Yes, I agree there is. But here's a stat I want everybody to think about for a minute. We all love our ICE cars. We all love our F-150s. We love our Super Duties, all that kind of stuff. But these CAFE ratings that the government is making the manufacturers hit is getting so crazy. That's why we need these e-cars out there. So for every Mach-E that is sold, that makes it easy for 4 F-150s to be produced, because of that CAFE rating from where we're sitting there from that part. So we've had a debate. I wish Ford would push harder into hybrid and then all electric from that part, instead of pushing so hard in electric. But you think about that.
But then it would only go to
probably two F-150s instead of 4 F-150s.
Yeah.
So that's kind of this analogy that I kind of all of a sudden changed my mindset a little bit. So I'm going back to now is it's kind of like I drove that Lightning over the winter, and it worked perfectly fine for me.
Yeah, and there's a lot of consumers for the day-to-day operation that would be okay.
Exactly. And so we've got to get a mindset here. If we still want to keep driving our Super Duties and we don't want to keep driving our F-150s and Expeditions, we got to do that. So what I'm looking forward to is trying to help people have a F-150 set in their garage and have a Mach-E set in their garage, or have a Lightning set in their garage, so we can keep building these ICE vehicles that we need to build from that part. But one Mach-E makes it so they can produce 4 F-150s. So hybrid, probably 2.
Yeah.
From that part. So got to have a little different mindset. I want these electric vehicles to work like anybody else does. I think there's still a lot of unknowns. I think there's still the infrastructure's still got to be built a little bit better. But I do think the idea of the car, and you have all kinds of debates about how many more emissions electric car takes to build, and the batteries and all that kind of stuff, everything too. But again, this CAFE rating is crazy. Next debate can get into too is you take these electric cars, where's the tax money going to come out of the fuel for the roads?
Yeah.
So there's all kinds of debates and where we got to go, what's going to happen. And what we're doing today with electric cars is going to be different in a year. It's going to be different in 2. It's going to be different 3, 4, and 5 years down the road, how much different they will be, because I think they'll eventually have it to where they'll charge so much faster, and I think they'll have a better
infrastructure out there for sure.
In a longer range of fuel is what I think. Yep. So anyway, Delbert wants to talk about flex plates. I'm not sure why he wants to talk about flex plates.
Oh, so he sent me a video the other day. He's got flex plate problems. So yeah, he has a Fusion with right around 100,000 miles on it, and got a cracked up flex plate. It sounded like from the video, so he was going to get that in down there and see.
Well, it sounds to me like Delbert 100,000 miles in old Fusion. About time to get you a new Uber car for yourself. What you need, buddy. Get you a hybrid Escape.
There you go.
Yeah. So they're coming yet too. So anyway, so lots of debates about the electric, lots about that. And so Delbert, I don't know, did flex plate teeth wore off of it? Did it crack out?
I think it cracked. It was by the sounds of the video. But again, he was going to get that in somewhere and have him take a look at it and see.
It's kind of rare to see a flex plate on them.
Yeah, it has happened before, but it's not
super common. Not a super common deal there either. So anyway, Josh, okay,
we didn't talk at all about a Mustang.
Yeah. The of course it's out there now, the Mustang GTD, and so we got to see it first, I would say, in that show on Monday, because we were the first group to go through. But Ford is bringing out a supercar. I'm shocked to how much it is, to be honest with you, but that's okay. But I guess when you look at what's in the car and everything else too, it's also co-branded, or not co-branded, co-built with the same company that helped build the Ford GT, Multimatic, and they've got a suspension system under, like for an F1 car. The body is a carbon fiber car, whole carbon fiber. It's got an 800 horsepower motor, and it's got the 50-50 weight ratio exactly perfect, which is what you want in a car to handle correctly. Basically did that by moving the transaxle to the back.
So carbon fiber, then cantilever suspension.
Yeah, that's the F1 stuff. Yeah. And then it's got a electronically way you can change that suspension in multi-seconds to make the car do different stuff. But they spared no expense on this car. They want to go out and they want to beat the Porsches and the Ferraris and all that kind of stuff. And a lot of people are saying this is not going to compete with the Corvette. Well, I don't know how you can even figure that out. Come on, bring it on. I mean, I think the GT500 outruns some of them Corvettes already. Let's put this up to speed. But it's a $300,000 car. So I figured 200 when I first saw it.
Yeah.
But 300 grand, and that's the base price. I don't know what all they're going to put in there for options and stuff too. But the magnesium wheels. That's the other thing. That's an old
carbon ceramic brakes, 20-inch brakes on it. Which is
20-inch brakes.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Yeah. So pretty huge thing there for Ford. I don't know what I still haven't heard what GTD stands for.
So there's speculation that it is get things done. There's speculations. Nobody said that, but that's again.
Yeah.
Who knows?
Tim thinks going to need another bubble. I don't know. 300 grand for a car. Yee.
I was trying to use his credit card when we were out there and get him on the list. So it was just for his own good though.
Yeah. Yeah. Anyway, wasn't fond of the color they showed us, but I'm sure that
yeah, I don't know. I'm guessing that might be an option.
Oh, I'm sure it's an option.
Aside from that, you probably don't get a whole lot of options after color, I would guess.
Well, I don't know that because that's where they're saying base price 300 grand. I think the magnesium wheel is going to be an ad.
I took it as when they said that, I took that as in that was the mostly equipped vehicle and it was 300 grand, but I don't know. Maybe
who knows?
Incorrect on that.
I guess we'll get more information, more data as it goes down to do. The other thing is I've heard, again, it's all speculation and rumor. Again, they're going to build 1,000 of them.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I thought a couple hundred.
Yeah.
But who knows if 1,000 is correct, but a lot of people say, who cares? Not going to see them on the streets and stuff. If they build 1,000, I think you'll see them.
Yeah.
From that part. And then Ford, after we showed it to us, then they had a private meeting, and one of our customers got invited. I was kind of ticked we didn't know that he was getting invited up to that deal. But he sent me a picture in there after they showed it to us. In the private meeting, he's going to get one. So we're going to have one here at Mel Hambelton Ford, and he's also the same person that got the first GT we ever had. So we'll have a party for that when it gets here, and then everything else too to have fun with that car. But get things done. That sounds pretty good. But I wonder if that's really what it is. I don't know. Ford didn't say either when they were at the meeting. They did not tell us what that was or what from that part. So go check that out. GTD. It does look pretty wicked. I do think it's a badass car. And then the C pillar spoiler hooked off the back instead of being on the deck lid, it's on the C pillars where that spoiler's at. And it's in the air too.
Yeah, it's up in the car.
But I think they did no expense spared and went after that thing. And
I think they built a race car and then put a body on it.
Put a Mustang body on it. Yeah.
I mean, I don't know is that there's it's built for purpose for sure.
Yeah, and they showed that thing in the video that was showed us. It was on water, and I mean that thing just it just went right through like it was nothing, sliding through those cones and stuff. It was pretty cool. So, love to have heard it in person, what it sounded like in person too, from that part. But a lot of exciting things coming from Ford, and that's one thing I do like. We do have the freshest lineup of any auto manufacturer in the United States right now, and got a lot of things coming and stuff too. A lot of unknowns, a lot of other things too. But that's something we can have and we can have some more debates on later in future shows and stuff like that too. Brian Chu, I just Googled it. That thing is sick. Yes, it is. It does look pretty cool. No, the other thing is the louvers on the side of the front fenders. I'm not sure if those are active. I bet they have to be active to be able to,
for cooling purposes, would be
to get the heat out of the motor and get the heat out of the brakes,
and then air transferred through that car too.
Yeah, but I would love to have one of those, but I don't know, 300 grand. I can think of a lot of things I can spend 300 grand on instead of a car, especially one setting in the bubble. So anyway, Josh, have we covered everything for this week? It's been a crazy week, fast week, everything else too. So can't think of anything else from that part.
I think we've kind of recapped the week for sure. And, we definitely need to thank our sponsors for sure.
Yeah, we need to do that. So, yes, BG Products. Again, me and Lisa were talking about them on the way over to Hutch last night, too. The great partnership with those guys, everything we've done with them over the years and stuff. And sorry we missed to go see Mr. Task over there, but we had other things a little bit more important than that. That they had Mr. Bob Task, and then he goes up to Topeka and smokes them up, wins it in Topeka, which is pretty cool. He was there at our show too. I seen him. Bob Task was going through the crowd. I didn't get close to him enough to say hi to him or anything else. Because so many people there at our show and stuff too.
Congratulating him for his Wally, I'm sure. So
Oh, he was carrying it around, I think.
Oh, was he?
Yeah.
Yeah. So David Gray went down and had lunch with him. So that's the second time he's done that. And he said, I don't know what the deal is. Every time I go have lunch with Bob Tasca, he wins up in Topeka. So I said, well, if you tell him that, you might be part of the crew chief or part of the crew then. So.
Yeah, something like that, right? David would love to be on that
Yeah.
crew. Of course, a lot of us would love to be on that crew. I'd love to just go down there and just give me about an eighth of the throttle. Let me try to run that thing. Oh, that'd be enough for me to go down the track. I don't want to take that thing because I'd probably put it in the wall from that part. So anyway, yeah, great partnership with BG Products. Those guys do a lot of good stuff of keeping your car running many, many more miles. And that's one thing Melissa talked. What are they going to do about electric cars? You know what? There's still a cooling system in service in there that helps keep those batteries cool and stuff like that. You're still going to have to take care of. And like I told Lisa, really on the electric cars, all we're missing is a normal maintenance on the engines and transmissions. Everything else is still there. Just like a normal car, everything else on that part. We still got window motors. We still got AC system. We still got a cooling system. We still got all the electronics and everything else in the car, just like anything else too. So anyway, GTT racing class for cars built GT3 technical regulations. Yeah, it's a pretty cool car. I just still don't know what GTD stands for. I don't know. Maybe there is something there that Jeff found. GTD name refers to IMSA GTD racing class for cars built in FIA GT3 technical regulations. Okay, well, I know it's going to be a bad car, and I can't wait to see it go at 24 hours of Le Mans and in 24 hours of Daytona because that car will be there in all those different race classes and stuff too. So anyway, Big Corner Creative for all your advertising needs. Hey, if you got a company or need a web page design, need any kind of advertising whatsoever, Jesse's got a great crew of people down there. Yes, it started out Big Corner Creative just to be for Mel Hambelton Ford. Now Jesse's taking that over and takes care of so many companies and stuff like that too. So if you need a vehicle wrapped, windows wrapped, race car wraps, window tint, anything like that to help advertise your business, don't hesitate to call Jesse down at Big Corner Creative. As those guys say, just Google us. Hey, the summertime's about over, Josh. I hate to say it, but it is crazy.
Right around
flying
the corner.
through the year. But anyway, if you're thinking about the holidays, coming up, need something rental, 12 or 15 passenger van. Stan, I've got him booked back up again with plenty of vehicles over there for him. We're back over 100 again. So he's got plenty of vehicles. If you need to rent something bigger, just don't want to put the miles in your car, give Stan a call right inside Mel Hambelton Ford at Go To Rent. Anyway, everybody have a great Saturday. Love all the comments. Love all the good stuff. And everybody, we'll talk to you next Saturday.